What's up, people? You rocking with Real Talk with DP and Dev. We still on this relationship talk. You know, Dev isn't here today, but he should be showing up shortly. So we got Marcus, Greenwich, my LB, my homeboy Trav, all the way from Chucktown. So we gonna get into some real talk about being married. Marcus got 13 years in the game.
We'll be 13 in July.
13 in July. Trav got 3, and I got 3 going on 4. So we got about 20 years combined between all of us, so we know a little something. We're still in the learning process, and every day our wife reminds us of that. So we're just trying to give a little bit of feedback, and any way we can help our fellow man to have a happier household at the end of the day, 'cause that's what it's all about. A happy wife, happy life. So, Marcus, we were just talking a little while ago, right?
What? Okay.
Yeah, and we were talking about, effective communication. Because you were saying, like, that's one of the,
I think that's one thing that
talking to the wife.
I think that's one thing that all marriages, like, that's something that everybody needs to work on in their marriage. Because every time you could think that you are being an effective communicator with your spouse, and you could believe in your mindset that, hey, listen, I'm explaining everything that I want to happen, but it's not being understood by your spouse. So it's like good communication. It's a weird thing. It's like, both of us believe that we are speaking in a way that the other knows what we want them to do, but it doesn't always turn out like that. And I just think that, that is something that's always going to be ongoing, of you trying to be able to be an effective communicator with your spouse.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you actually have to want to communicate also.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you don't put the effort into communicate, like for me, like I really didn't really put in the effort that I should have to communicate. And that's why a lot of the stuff we were dealing with, we dealt with, because my wife is a communicator. Like, she wants to communicate from A to Z.
But I mean, that also goes back to you thinking and believing in your mind that whatever you believe is already getting across. Like, she already knows you, so she knows how you are. So in your mind, she already knows me, so she should know that this is something that I don't really do. But again, that's not really effective communication.
It's not, and it will never be effective, because you have to listen and hear what she's trying to get across, which in return, they have to do the same thing. Listen to hear what you're trying to get across. But when you communicate, what you can do is actually come to a common ground. Like, everything that I'm trying to get across may not work, but hey, all right, some of these things we can work on here.
Right.
And then with her, Travis, hey, these are some of the things I need you to do. We can come to a common ground with that. Hey, okay, I'm gonna work on this and work my way up to these things. And that's how you communicate.
But even though let's say you're communicating, but things that they're asking you to do, you've been doing it for so long, it may not be a reasonable expectation that it's going to be a noticeable change in the near future.
I can understand that. I mean, especially in your case where, or both your cases really, because, y'all were 40 plus years old when you really got married. So, I mean, you had 40 years of living, of being basically a single man and, living the way you want to live. Now, all of a sudden, you're in a position where you almost have, you really do have to answer to somebody.
Yeah,
you have to make sure that, you have to make sure that, listen, if I do something, they know where you're at, just in case something were to happen, because everything falls on them if something were to happen to you. Definitely. So you have to make that type of communication of, listen, I'm going out with the fellas. This is where I'm going to be X, Y, and Z. So this. It's something different, though, when you're 40-something years old and you're jumping into it. Like, I ain't had to answer to nobody in 40-plus years. Now, all of a sudden, I'm in a position where I have to make sure that this person knows, because she's going to be accountable for me at the end of the day. So I have to make those hard decisions if they were happen to be made. And it's funny, like, I can remember when Travis first got married, and I'd be like, yo, well, did you let Nicole know we was going on, I'd be like, well, nah, she'll figure it out how we going on. I'm like, nah, homie, that's not how you do it no more. Like, you need to make that either that text or that phone call, be like, hey, Nicole, me, Mark, and Delonte about to hit this little bar real quick for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And such and such. So you definitely got to learn to communicate in certain aspects rather fast. Other aspects, you kind of learn how to do it. Because you have to learn your partner of what she's going to understand in terms of communication from me. What does she need in terms of communication from me to better understand what I need from her?
Yeah. It's just an ongoing task and journey. It ain't.
Yeah.
Like you say, in your 13 years, you still learning.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's never ending. So
and you learn from so many other couples who are in a marriage relationship. Especially ones who are even younger ones. You still learn from them of what maybe to do or maybe what not to do.
So we didn't do our toast. Let's we all were together with the families this weekend from Memorial Day.
Was.
So
absolutely.
That was a great weekend.
Great weekend with each other in the fam.
Yeah, definitely.
And we in a different set. We on the deck. So it's a beautiful day outside. So might as well be outside smoking a cigar. Fellowshipping with our people.
Absolutely.
So what was that other question?
So it was, how does kids? You said how does kids?
Yeah. How does kids affect your relationship, being that your biological kid or the kids came with the spouse? Because I have a son that's not my wife's child, and she loves him like it's her child. But at the end of the day, just like when I've dated somebody who had a child, if you want to act and treat them as they were yours, you don't want they're kids. What I'm saying? At the end of the day, but sometimes it don't always work out that way. You know what I'm saying?
No, and I can speak to that because my wife, she has two boys, and when I met her, I think they were 5 and 7, I believe. So the way I am, I'm more of a militant type person when it comes to chores.
I'm glad you used that word militant. Absolutely.
So, but the thing where I went wrong was, and Nicole was telling me, like, I didn't know like the love language or how to relate to Christian at the time. Christian doesn't care about you buying anything for him. He doesn't. This man will walk around with shoes from Walmart.
Yes.
He doesn't care about that. What he cares about is you spending time with him and building a relationship with him. So I got onto that like maybe I think last year towards the end of the year. Me and Christian started like building a little bit of a bond because I started doing little things with him, like taking him to get his hair cut, teaching him how to drive, letting him drive the car, things like that.
Let him drive the car?
Yeah, I let him drive my car. And before, what I would just come in and be like, yo, your room not clean. Do this, do that. Why y'all acting up in school? So I was more of a disciplinary and not building the bond as far as a relationship.
Absolutely.
Before I came in, and that caused kind of a lot of rebellion and them not wanting to be around me and them communicating with their mom more so than with me about different things. So I think it's important when you get into a marriage and you have kids coming from both sides that you discuss how you want to make that foundation before you actually commit, because that could really tear family apart.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
And especially if the kid is like, well, he still wants his mom and dad to be together, and he doesn't want y'all to be together, because that's how kids are. Like, they want their mom and dad to be together. That's what they know. So you got to establish that relationship and show him that you're there to help them and better them as a man, and not just tear them down and be disciplined. So
I agree with you. Of course, I say my case of being the child of having a stepfather is similar to both Christian and Christopher.
Right.
Of you can't, like, when you're dealing with children, you can't like just box them all in one box of sitting there saying this is how we're going to deal with every kid. Every child is really different. And the thing what my stepfather really tried to do in the beginning was similar to what you did. Of I'm going to reward you with gifts and things like that. And it wasn't. That's not what I really wanted. Not having my own father in my life growing up, I just wanted somebody to actually spend time with. If I have a soccer game, if I have a baseball game, you just showing up is good enough for me as long as you're there to support me.
Yeah.
So you kind of, when you're dealing, especially with stepkids, you got to kind of figure out what each individual kid's needs are, because they're not going to be the same needs in the marriage. Like one kid, like Chris, you get Chris some shoes and some gear, Chris is good to go. As long as he looking fly walking out the door, he good.
Right.
But my man Christian, being just sitting down with him and talking and having discussions with him, you can see how he enjoys that way more. Or if you even sit down and take 20 minutes out your day and play a video game with him, he's excited. You know what I'm saying? So when you're in those type of situations, when you're coming into a marriage and the other person has kids, you need to really actually figure out, what's the best way to approach each child, because it's not going to be the same. And like you said, friction between stepkids, that could tear a marriage apart.
Yeah.
Don't come in believing me and my wife's bond is so strong. Understand, she done had kids. These kids came out of her.
Yeah.
So her bond with them kids is way greater than any type of bond that you can have with her.
Yeah.
So, man, you have to approach it kind of like that.
And, I sit back and I think about, that I made ruins for my mom's relationships when I was coming up, because I don't know if I wanted, well, I guess subconsciously I wanted her to be with my dad.
Of course.
But I just didn't want no other man around for some reason. You know what I'm saying? Because I felt that they were taking her away from me. And I felt that way until I left home. I probably still feel that way, but I'm not there to have a effect on her relationships now. But
Gotcha.
I'll be rude to some guys sometimes. They call the house.
The bad thing is, it's not a surprise. I mean, he could be rude at any given time. I mean, luckily we are his friends, and I'm his friend / fraternity brother and line brother. He's not rude like that to me, but I done seen him be rude to people.
I don't know if it's being rude. It's direct. Me, Travis, Chelsea, and Nicole had a conversation the other night.
Okay.
And I was explaining to them that, hey, it's not that we're rude being from Charleston or being from that area.
No, don't lump all Charleston people in the group.
I'm saying this. When we speak sometimes, we're so direct, and it's not just us two. I mean, if you deal with folks from Charleston, that's the way they come off. But they don't mean anything by it. They're not being rude. It's just the way we talk sometimes.
I could be very direct. You're a whole different direct.
Because I think Travis rude. Travis rude a lot. I was saying.
See, I don't see Travis as being rude.
Ask Nicole.
No, I mean, if I ask Nicole or my wife, I know they're gonna tell me he's rude.
Yeah, but I had to have that conversation with my wife early on. That, hey, stop. Just listen to what I say, not how I say sometimes, because I'm not saying it to be rude, but sometimes it may come off that way. But a lot of it is being. Once I left Charleston, I don't think I dated a girl from Charleston. Even when I was younger and I used to go back home and we used to go to the clubs and this, that, and the other, girls were rude. I was like, these chicks rude as hell.
Yeah. I mean, without a doubt.
But it's not that they're being rude. They're just that direct. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know any better, you don't know.
I mean, to be honest, that's like a girl from Pittsburgh, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
They very direct too.
I can't say that now, but I'm just saying that's the difference. And let's say, like what you say, you like Nicole and Chelsea in your relationship, and Jamie more like me and Travis.
No, yes, but that comes to like certain things of what I care about compared to what well, I'll say me, Chelsea, and Nicole care about compared to what the two y'all care about.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if we sitting there talking about like trying to take a trip or an outing, I'm actually going to do the searching and everything else to figure out where we're going and but my wife will too. But the two of y'all, nah, it's fly by air. Like,
So does that bother you a little bit?
that what?
That she doesn't help you look for like an event to go to or
Or
No,
put as much effort for
Right.
it.
no, because I think me and Jamie are at a point where I know her strengths and she knows my strengths and weaknesses. So
Mhm.
I'm cool with that. I know that I don't pay bills on time.
Right.
So I put her in charge of paying bills because I know that she's actually going to do it,
so
and it's going to be okay.
So being that you said that, is another question in there.
Yeah. If you feel your spouse is strong in certain areas, do you feel you should sit back and let them handle that area, or should you make an effort to try to help?
I say sit back. I mean, if you're strong in that area, I mean, why am I going to bring my weak skills to the table? I'm gonna let your strong skills hit the table and keep it going.
But so you wouldn't try to learn the things that she's strong at, so now you can be an even balanced team?
No, because this is the thing. When somebody's actually really good at something, they have a passion for it.
Okay.
When somebody's really weak at something, they really don't care
About it. Right.
So for me, we're all over 40. For me, at 43 years old, to find a passion for something that I ain't never had a passion for,
Right.
it ain't really happening. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm kind of set in my ways, and I'm pretty sure she's set in her ways where it just ain't going to happen.
Like for me, paying the bills on time.
Right. And also like for Jamie does not like to, like, if it needs a phone call to happen, Jamie will not make the phone call. She'll just be like, Marcus, I need you to call such and such.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to make this call. Like, she will not, like, it hurts her to like make that call. I mean, like, real talk. Like, I think it was 2 weeks ago.
So you think is that something that a man should do anyway? Like make
What's
that
that?
call?
No, because I think some women have better communication skills.
And they might get more accomplished because
To be honest, I mean, if you're talking about two people calling between Delonte and Chelsea, I'm with Chelsea calling.
right.
Because she's actually going to get something accomplished, and again, might not sound rude on the phone.
Right.
So therefore, if you're good at something, just let the person be good at what they're good at.
Mhm.
But isn't that a part of being balanced too? When everybody can't be good at everything in a
Everything,
relationship,
no.
so let them have what they're strong at. You have what you're strong at,
Absolutely.
and that balances the skills versus trying to be good at what they're good at. Also,
Right.
you
I mean, like when we go on vacation, like out the country, listen, I mean, like I'll sit there and give her, options of where we want to go. Once we kind of figure out exactly where we want to go, I take the ball from there to make sure that the trip is all set up. And then, of course, on the payment side, she'll be like, listen, this is how much you need to put in the joint account every 2 weeks to make sure that the trip is paid off by the time we're supposed to go.
Yeah.
So I mean, no, I guess we kind of figured out, at some point what our strengths and weaknesses are in our relationship. Because I mean, I'm pretty sure it only took maybe about a couple months for her to be like, yo, you ain't paying no more bills.
Listen. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm not a on-time bill payer. I don't have a problem paying a late fee. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to, but it's
Yeah, I mean,
gonna happen. You know what I'm saying?
I like you. I don't. It's not that I want to pay a late fee, but I'm like, yo, as long as they ain't about to cut the service off,
Yeah.
and they still be like, yo, all right, you owe $15 extra, $20, $30 extra. All right, well, sure, let's just pay that $20, $30 extra.
Just pay the bill.
They don't see it like that, though. It's a problem.
Right.
It's a problem if it's late. It can be 1 day late. Why it ain't paid?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I understand.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. Because my wife, hey, listen, everything with her is paid on time. Like she has the bills just stacked in one corner, and she gonna go through it and pay it all. I think she got an alarm for all her bills, if you ask me.
That's even like with taxes. Like Jamie will see my W-2 come in, all my other statements come in. She'll stack them up, and she'll put the whole envelope together to send out to our man that does the tax. I mean, to my man Henry that does our taxes. Like, oh, here.
Like I had a problem with that. Being self-employed, run your own business, you're gonna pay at the end of the year. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're not getting a refund. So I used to, I'll get to it next year, and then it accumulate.
Right. So when you got married, did Chelsea take over that? Because
now the accountant automatically got access to bank accounts and all that, so he can do it without us sending them, unless he just asked for something. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
He may want
Now, who set that up? Did Chelsea set that up for
No,
the
I
account?
actually said I found an accountant.
Okay.
And but since I missed a couple of years, we had to pay a lump sum at one point. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't pleasant. You know what I'm saying? But it had to be done because I didn't want that question. Did you pay Uncle Sam? Did you pay the IRS? Because the question never stops once it starts. Because it's like,
you're talking about from the wife.
Yeah, until it gets done, it's going to be asked, if not every day, every other day. It seems like,
Absolutely. Now that's definitely a fact.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, Trav, your mother-in-law said every man still needs to be supportive of his wife's strong points. Acknowledge that to her.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. Just because I sit there and say, let them, if they're strong at it, let them just take control of it. Understand, I'm still giving that
show appreciation.
That show of appreciation that you're doing that. I'm not going to take anything away from what you're doing. I'm definitely thankful that it's done that way.
Are you thankful and you actually saying it to her? Or are you thankful by not getting in her way and allowing her to just do what she do?
I guess it's a little bit of both. I mean, you have to say, and I guess you always have to kind of come in and just be like, and my homeboy Jason always told me, like, just tell your wife, I love you, or I'm thankful for what you bring to our household. Kind of a reminder to them that you really are appreciative and how much you do care about this person, that you're married to.
Mm-hmm. And
he told me that, like, from the beginning of when I got married. Just like he would always sit there and tell me, like, hey, when you see your wife, say I love you, Mrs. whatever your last name is, I love you, Mrs. Greenwich. Just to kind of remind her that, she is Mrs. Greenwich and how much you do care for her.
That's deep, Marcus.
So, listen, I get that to my man Andrews.
You tell her that, but don't you think is because for me, right? Like, my wife always said she liked flowers, right?
Right.
But I said I don't buy flowers because they die in 2 weeks. No, listen, for real. No,
but I get that. But it's not about you, though, in that situation.
I know it's not. That's what I'm trying.
But the other side of it is with you, and I know you're getting better with, is that your wife truly listens to things that you say.
Right.
But you know what I'm getting at. So that same aspect, you need to do the same thing. And which you showed me the picture of the flowers. She likes flowers. Yeah, get her flowers.
Yeah.
And then like the same thing, my wife likes flowers, but she likes flowers a little bit. So when it does come like the holidays or whatever, I make sure that I buy flowers for the house that she can have. But to your point, though, they do die. But if that's something that she likes,
and don't do it just like I just did it out of the blue because I felt some way we were going through some things, and I was like, you know what? I know my wife loves flowers. I need to send her these flowers just to show her how much I appreciate her, and have it delivered with a note.
That's dope.
And like that's the type of stuff that us as men, like I don't do as often as I should.
I don't think most men do as often.
And I think that's something that women appreciate more than us saying it. Because my wife always say, "You can say it, but showing me is way more effective."
It's almost
just
like
saying it.
Lip service versus actual action.
Right, and that's kind of how she say it.
Yeah.
Now my wife, she loves that type of stuff also, but I don't know why I just can't get it in my mind trained to be like, all right, every so often I need to
need to buy some flowers.
What is preventing us as men to actually?
I don't
do
actually
that.
think
like. I mean, like I don't know, because they tell us all the time.
I think we be in such a routine sometimes that
I
mean, when we be probably go to the grocery store every now and then, and we walk right by her.
Walk right by the flowers.
Oh, yeah, because the flowers are up front and next to the front door.
You ride by flowers every time.
Every time I go home, past a flower shop. Every time I go home, right. Like I don't get it. Like she tells me this all the time, but for some reason I still don't do it.
I know I do it in some aspects of it where I know, like if I'm in the liquor store and I'm buying something for myself, I'll make sure that I try to get like her a bottle of Ciroc, a bottle of rum, something I know she's going to drink, But you're right, when it comes to like maybe buying flowers, I don't do it enough. I mean, I might buy flowers maybe 6 times out the year, but it's
mostly holidays. It's just not out of the blue.
Holidays, yeah.
Like, just not out of the blue, like on a Tuesday like today.
Nah,
nothing is going on, and we just boom.
And I think that comes down to what DP said of the routine of life. You get so stuck in routines, and especially marriages where you have kids and like young kids or whatever. It's so hard to be spontaneous with things because you get so used to like, okay, well, I pick the kid up at this time, I drop him off at this time, we're having dinner. By the time we get done having dinner, doing homework and everything else, it's time to get the kids changed and ready for bed. They in the bed. And now it's like, yo, we having a woosah moment of, I need like an hour to myself. You need an hour to yourself. And next thing you know, it's time to get in the bed and go to sleep and start this whole rat race all over again. Yeah. So, I mean, it's so easy to get in the routines. And then to be honest with COVID, I don't think COVID helped with spontaneousness of marriages. Now, it did help at the fact that I got to spend way more time with my family, which was great. But being spontaneous of us being able to say, hey, let's go to the casino up in North Carolina real quick, spend the weekend. Like, yeah, that wasn't happening. Or let's go out to a great meal. I mean, not, up until recently, that wasn't happening. So, I mean, it's just a difficult thing to kind of get out that rut.
But I mean, I think the wives may not think so, that we do try, because at least once a month we try to get together and do something.
But but we say that, but to be honest, especially with the new thing with the dinners, it's like it's led by them. It's not led by us.
We still there.
I mean, I know we're still there.
We're still there, but just like how they appreciate us sending the flowers, they would appreciate it more if we planned it and they know nothing about it and just be like, yo, get dressed.
But see, that goes back to the other statement.
What's that?
You got young kids.
Marcus would be the one planning it. While y'all two is just like, right. Yo, hey Mark, you let us show up when you just let us know when we show up, huh?
Aren't you playing the next one? Isn't that the agreement?
I think that was the agreement, that because it was put on the 3 of us to plan it. And I think I told the wives that I guess I would be the one to plan it. Because I already knew what the 2 of you were going to do.
But June isn't old girl birthday party in June and some other stuff going on?
Yeah, but we can work around that. Okay. But so you still date your wife? And you just recently started dating your wife? Because, I mean,
so we had I don't know. I think it was pre-COVID.
Like before you, like
I'm saying pre-COVID, we were, you know what? To be honest, we were doing it a lot more before the baby.
Okay. And
then when the baby came, we took a kind of a step back from that.
Understood.
And then, next thing you know, COVID's here.
Right. So how important was it for you?
It was actually, it was pretty important. Like we actually had, it was cool. Like we'd really go out. I mean, and for us just going to like a little neighborhood bar was cool.
Right.
Yeah. Us going to go sit at the bar, have some drinks, have some wings, just talk was cool, and just going home. Or going to one of y'all houses,
right,
and chilling out was cool. I mean, it was a cool date night. So I mean, hopefully with everything kind of coming back around, to where pre-COVID was, things will maybe get better.
But
in terms of that,
the wives got it in once a month anyway during Also, I shouldn't say anyway. Also,
And you know what the funny thing is that
Really
we didn't like set nothing up once a month for us to hang out.
but they would be in my basement once a month.
Yeah, but that's different because it's them together. It's not like me and Nicole. Like Nicole will tell me, like, she'll literally come and watch a movie with me. She may not even like the movie.
Hey, at least your wife watch a movie with you.
She'll spend time with me because she knows, like, that's the time that she can get with me when I'm down in the basement watching the movie or doing whatever. And like, that's perfectly fine for me. Like, she's sacrificing her time to be able to spend time with me. But I don't think us as men will sacrifice our time
Again
to spend with them with something that they like to do.
I'm gonna say this. This is where I'm more like your wife,
Right.
and Jamie's more like y'all.
You think like that, right?
Because I actually will sit down with her to watch the shows that she likes,
Right.
of which I have no real interest in. I mean, like,
Right.
it'll catch my attention, but if it was just me, I don't want to watch 600-Pound Life.
Right, I agree.
I don't want to watch none of that.
Right.
But I know that's the only time or way that I'm gonna actually have time to spend with my wife.
Especially when your schedules are hectic.
Right. So it's like when I'll do that with her, but let me be watching a movie that I want to watch. Like not no Harry Potter, no nothing like that.
Right.
That's what she loved to watch. Because I watch that
Marvel,
with her too.
a Marvel movie. Or
Yo,
something.
let me watch some action movie where somebody's getting killed all up in the movie. She'll be like, yo, I'm going upstairs. Or she'll be like, yo, I'm gonna be sleeping in the next 10 minutes. Like,
yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, you can't give me no hour. So all I do is I'll be like, all right, then I'm gonna go play some video games.
Right.
Because I mean, you ain't gonna spend that, that same time that I would spend with you to watch 600-Pound Life or whatever the mother.
But she's there though, right?
When I'm playing the video game?
No, I mean when you watching the Marvel movie.
No, she ain't there. She won't watch the Marvel movie.
She wouldn't just sit there watching and then fall asleep.
Well, no, not the Marvel movies. Like, she might watch something else I'm watching, and she'll either be like, all right, I'm going upstairs, or she'll be asleep. Easy.
So, Mark, you from Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Jamie from
Dillon, South Carolina. Yeah.
Now, does that being from? You don't consider yourself from up north?
Yeah, I do.
All right. So, being from up north and married somebody down south, is there some type of cultural differences that you see? You notice?
No. To be honest, no, because I went to college in South Carolina State, so I've been down here since 1995. So being in the South for 20 plus years, I mean, it's not really a cultural difference,
Okay.
Because it's, like, you got to really think that I spent, all of my adulthood
pretty much
down south.
Yeah.
You only time I was really living in Pittsburgh was up to 12th grade,
Or that short period you moved back after.
Well, yeah, but then I was still coming down here. So it was just like, I'm maybe up there for going to school for 2 semesters or when I was working up there, but I'm still living down here, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think there's a cultural difference. No, the biggest thing is I had to learn the culture of living in the South compared to living up north, but I don't see that as a big difference. You know what I mean? So no, I think I've learned a lot, about the South. I think a lot of people from up north have certain things they believe the South is. Of course, people from up north always believe that the South is slow and everything. South ain't slow. They just roll a little bit different. That's all.
So you want to go to the next other last question?
Read the last question.
All right. So it's 2 more. It's 2 more questions. So how do you communicate what you need in your marriage? I know we was talking about it earlier, but like, how do you specifically communicate it and implement the changes?
I don't think I do. Not what I need.
I think with me,
you know what? I'm sorry, I read that wrong.
Oh,
it's a different question.
Did she rewrite you?
No, it's now that you recognize that you have things that you would like to work on. How are you planning to work on them and implement the changes?
I think with us, the hardest thing is that every time we try to implement changes, they work for a while, and then again we get complacent in the changes that we wanted, and it goes back to, it almost gets reset to where it was at before. The changes don't last like they should, and I just think that again that comes with the daily life of the routine where things just don't keep going like you would want them to.
I think I see it a little bit different, because like I can implement the change, or I could start the change, and I work on it. Like you say, you work on it for a while, but maybe I don't value the change as much as she does, because there's a change that she's looking for from me.
And you know what? And that could be it with me and Jamie, is that
deep.
We don't value the change how each other values the change.
Right.
Where, I'm super excited about the change, like, yo, this is great.
Right.
And then she's like, all right, he's happy for right now, but all right, I'm good.
And then it's being more consistent too. Like, if you start something, then you need to be consistent with continuing to do it. If you're more consistent with doing it, then the better your chances of making sure the plan that change is being implemented in the marriage.
I do agree with you that consistency is probably the biggest thing when it comes to changes. And if you're not consistent, it's like, you almost kind of did it for nothing.
Yeah.
But you only did it to satisfy that person at that moment, for what they wanted.
Almost like a crutch.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm going to satisfy you for right now on this little crutch, but I'm going to go back to the way things were.
Right.
Before you asked me to make this change.
And I think that was, and I honestly could say that probably was my biggest issue.
But if they don't, I mean, once you make the change and they see you sliding back into your previous not doing what you just started doing that they actually do, if they don't say, hey, you getting back to,
but that's not. But that's not on them, because
no, I'm not saying that's their fault. I'm just saying that it would be helpful to say, hey,
and that's my problem, is that I don't kind of reinforce it of, like, hey, you slipping back to what you. It's just like,
because you need some reinforcement, because it's not a habit yet. You know what I'm saying?
No.
It takes a while for that habit to be
right. I mean,
fully
but they say like 30 days.
Yeah. So it got to be done for a certain period of time before it becomes a habit. So if they let you stop before the habit develops, you got to start the cycle all the way over again.
So how does that look? Like, they just be like, hey, Delonte, yo, you said you was gonna do this, but
like, say for instance, my wife said, yo, once every 2 weeks we're gonna have date night.
Right.
If we go date night first 2 times out of the month, and then the next 2 weeks we don't, and then it slides for another month and we don't, and then she said, what happened to the date night we supposed to have?
So let me tell you, so my homeboy, another one of my homeboys, shout him out, Mark Tyler, he gave me a great idea for date night. And I wanted to implement this, and this was right before COVID, that he had like a fish bowl, and him and his wife would write down, like, say 5 different things that they would want to do for date night. And they just put it in the fish bowl, close the paper up, put it in the fish bowl. So if we're going out this Friday, come Thursday or Wednesday or whatever, we'll dig into the fish bowl, pick out a piece of paper, and whatever's on that piece of paper, that's what we're doing for date night. So it's kind of like, something that you want to do, something they want to do, and it's kind of a surprise of what we're going to do. So it could be like, hey, we're going to the zoo this weekend on Friday or Saturday, whatever, or we're going to a certain restaurant, or, whatever your idea of a great date for you is, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And no particular person has to plan the date. It's just
no.
You pull it out,
and then from there we're going to plan the date.
We're going to plan the date
based off of what we chose.
Right.
So I was like, yo, that's a great idea. But again, COVID happened and it just kind of went out the window of even trying that.
That is a great idea.
Because I mean, it gives you a way of sitting there saying, "Hey, I chose 5 things."
Yeah.
And of course, they're going to sit there and say, we never want to choose anything. So we chose 5 things. You chose 5 things.
Right.
And that way we could kind of sit there and say, hey, that was something I chose.
It gives an even balance.
It gives an even balance to it.
Right.
And then, once the 10 dates are over with, start afresh and start another 10 dates.
Right.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. That's something I need to make
That,
note
that
of.
would definitely help you out. Because when it comes to things like that, you are definitely super quiet.
I need the help too. Like, I'm not really a romantic type person. Like,
we know that because you were supposed to plan the after party of your own anniversary. And look, I'm sitting at the dinner table. Hey, Trav, look, I found like 4 spots we can go to. I just want you to pick up one spot, and we'll go to that one spot.
Well, you did drop the balls in that trap.
yeah, I'm just spontaneous. Like, I just pick up, like, let's go here, boom, and we go.
You got what? 4 other couples, which you can't be that.
I know.
It's different when it's just the 2 people trying to get in, and then we're going into a little spot, and my man look at us and was like, "Y'all sure y'all want to come in here?
But
y'all good folk look a little too clean to be coming in here."
Right.
We were in Bucket, right?
Yeah, it was in Bucket. Yeah, that's the first time I ever heard that from somebody, from a bouncer to let me know that I look too good, or which he was really saying y'all too old to be coming up in here.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah. But like I said, I think we've all grown like since the beginning of our marriages until where we're at in this point in our marriage.
And we're still going to continue to grow.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like, for real, if you don't continue to grow, something's wrong with you, or something's wrong with the marriage.
Like, I look at Chelsea parents were here this weekend, and they actually are still in love with each other. You know what I'm saying? They do everything together. Like, now her mom, she decides she don't want to drive no more. So wherever she got to go, he got to take her. But they retired, but they together 24/7. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's good.
And they love it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, because you get some marriages where it's like, we've been together 40, 50 years. Like, I don't even want to be in the room with you.
Right.
It's almost like that comedy sketch from In Living Color where the married couple be almost trying to kill each other the whole entire time. And then all of a sudden they be like, "Are we still together?"
But, and they've been together 50 years, right?
50 plus years.
Just think about 50 years with somebody, and still, like, we saw them this weekend, and it's like,
yeah, I know.
It's like from when they first was married, like, you could see that, like,
yeah. And and having COVID to force you to be in the house with somebody for almost a year, domestic violence and domestic disputes spiked.
Oh, absolutely.
During COVID, because you had the outlet of going to work and getting away from the house for a period of time. But when COVID hit, now you got to actually deal with this person all day. You know what I'm saying? And that didn't work for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, it shouldn't work for them at all. They need to separate. Honestly.
But some people
stay together some people stay together for a lot of for
financial reasons. You got the kids, you got this, you got that, and you may not be able to make it on your own without that partner, because it's so many other stuff. You got so much stuff tied together.
to the relationship. And then some people, when it comes to like that the domestic violence, it's just like they don't really see it out. Like I had an aunt who was experienced domestic violence, and it's just like you look at her, you want to ask the question of why don't you leave, but they're so in love with the person that they're with that it's hard for them to even sit there and take that step to leave, even though that they know that's probably the best step for them, right. The step that's actually going to keep them alive.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a hard thing to even deal with,
right?
Yeah, that's a touchy subject that we not qualified.
Right.
to speak.
Yes. As you love to sit there and say they need to talk to somebody about that.
Call
Definitely.
Nicole. Call
Yeah.
Trav. Then Trav put you in contact with Nicole. You can talk to her.
So you want me to read this last question?
Yeah, read the last question, Trav.
All right. So the last question is, what are 3 most important values to have for a marriage to work?
Ooh.
I think honesty is one. You got to be honest because everybody got shortcomings. You know what I'm saying? And you can't masquerade those shortcomings forever. You know what I'm saying?
I say respect as well. You have to respect your spouse.
Yeah, definitely.
Third one.
Faithfulness.
So I mean, there's more than 3 then.
Yeah,
Because
more than
I mean,
3.
because
You
you
know what I'm
can.
saying?
I mean, like she said, what is the most important thing? You said faithfulness, respect, honesty, communication.
I would say
That would be number 1 on top of the list.
I would listen. I'll say communication, honesty, and respectfulness is like the 3 most important things. Like if you don't respect the person you're with, why are you with them?
Right.
You know, talking about, I mean, like if the person you're with you can't be honest with, like, yo.
But I feel like if this is the person that I'm married, we should be best friends. I should be able to come to you and say anything, talk to you about anything.
Yeah.
Without you being judgmental.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have any judgment with it.
And it shouldn't be
Now you can respond to
Yeah,
it, but it shouldn't be a judgmental response.
it should be a pushback because
It's always gonna be. Listen, we all married a black woman, man. This is gonna be a pushback.
I don't know if you should have said that one, Mark.
I'll be honest. I know the 3 of our wives. There's gonna be a pushback.
Shit, it's real talk going with
that's
DP
real.
and
It's
Dev.
real talk with DP
Let's
and
keep it
Dev,
real, bro.
Let's keep it real. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat that one.
Yeah,
Yo.
I mean, it's gonna be some pushback.
Man, hold up. Just imagine this. Having no pushback from our 3 wives. Come on now, that's not happening. I mean, because to be honest, let's say this, and this is just being real. You married, we are married to 3 black strong individuals.
Yeah.
So if I don't get any pushback,
I'm gonna think something wrong.
I'm thinking something wrong. I'm gonna start looking around the room like, yo,
You getting
am
punked?
I getting punked? Is Kushner, whatever his name is, gonna hop out the bushes? Like, yo, something ain't right. Like, yo, something ain't right if I ain't getting no pushback.
Well, I shouldn't say without any pushback, but it should be received as I'm just being honest with you. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Not trying to hide nothing from you.
That also has to deal with us, and that's like has to deal with delivery too. Us and delivery of how we're going to receive the message that they're sending. Okay? Because there's sometimes I'm pretty sure all of us, you know, you get that message from either one of our 3 wives. It's like, hey, yo, man, I ain't trying to hear that today. You know, and like, yo, literally, I know there's times with my wife where I'll be like, you know, I know you're telling me something that I know I need to hear, but this ain't the moment in time that I need to hear this certain message from you.
Yeah.
Like, I need you to switch the game up.
Come on, bro.
I need you to switch the game up and kind of do it a little bit differently in terms of your message to me as being the sender. You know, because the way I'm receiving this message right now, you don't want to know how I'm going to send out the message to you in this conversation.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Dev? You just popped in, so we're gonna put you right there.
Thank
What
you
do
for
you
joining
think?
us,
I know, man. You know,
Yo,
That
my man
was the
came in here
question
looking
right
mad buff. Like, yo, my dude, what's going on?
That was the
I'm
question.
good.
Right
I'm good, fellas. What's up?
I'm just
good.
saying, like, yo, man, look, like arms looking a little tight, look, shoulders looking tight.
Did like 100 push-ups before you came
Yeah,
in. You know?
listen, Lord, he about to go into the strip club as a male stripper. Man, I'm gonna get my push-ups in real quick.
Look, man, I'm just trying to keep it together, man, for the wife.
Yeah, my
Got
dude.
Hey, yo,
All right, so what's the question?
this one. It was. It said, "What are the 3 most important values to have for a marriage to work?"
Okay.
In your opinion.
And just to recap,
Yeah.
we had said honesty.
Yep.
Respect.
Yep.
communication,
communication, and faithfulness was 4.
So
we
it's
did
4.
4.
Faithfulness, as in like just fidelity, pretty
Yeah.
much. Okay.
Is there another faithfulness?
Well, no,
No,
I'm
asking. I was being dead serious.
Well, when you say faithfulness, is are we talking about obviously sexual fidelity,
Right.
financial fidelity, faithfulness? I'm assuming faithfulness all across
around,
the board,
across
right?
the board. I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was a serious question.
Yeah.
Like, I know I'm the one that
No,
clowns a lot.
Yeah.
But no, this is not a clowning moment.
No, yeah, that's what I meant. Because when you're faithful to your spouse, it's not
Right.
only a matter of just being faithful when it comes to finances. It's a matter of, as far as stepping out,
Right.
it's a matter of being faithful with finances, being faithful as
Absolutely.
far as how you move in the
Because
household.
you will definitely
Gotcha.
catch some couples where I'm spending way more than that,
Yeah,
and
I got you.
I'm
And
keeping
they
that.
don't
I'm
even know
keeping that
about
all
it.
to
Yeah.
myself.
or even to kind of drill down a little bit. And I know what the question. I'll get to in a minute, but
No, you good.
drill down a little bit if you want to get a little granular. When it comes to watching certain shows, right? Like let's say, for example, if there's a new series or something that's on, and both of y'all like the joint.
Yes.
Somebody watch ahead of you.
Somebody watch it. Right, you know what I mean? Somebody watching
Right.
ahead of you.
Right.
It's like, yo, hold up. Why we couldn't watch that together?
You know what?
You know what I mean?
Luckily, I you know what? Me and my wife do not have that issue. Because
Right.
we don't like the same, especially because we're really talking about like Netflix and
Yeah.
Hulu and things like that, where
Yeah.
I will hop ahead of her. We don't like the same stuff.
Right.
So I'm cool. Listen, I'm good when it comes to that.
Yeah.
My problem is with my sister-in-law of I will hop in front of her or she'll hop in front of me.
Yeah.
But no, I get you. I
Yeah,
get you when
so-
it
I
comes to
can
that.
relate
Yeah,
to
we
that.
might want to watch a lot of the same shows, and
Do you?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It don't look like y'all watch the same shows.
They do.
a lot of stuff she watch I don't watch, but there's some things that we do watch.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like for instance, like The Resident or the NCIS.
You
shows.
watch that?
Troy Benjamin works on the set.
I'm just saying. I just to be honest, I don't see that as something that you would watch. I mean,
Oh,
look,
when you get home, you got to wind down on
listen,
something, so,
I get that,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't like. I get that as being like a wind. I just get that as being your wind down show.
You don't watch. You watch it.
Watch what? I watch the NCIS.
The Resident.
Oh, where y'all going at?
Well, we had a Look,
The digression was real.
I'm glad you brought us back.
Let's
in.
bring
My
it
bad.
back to all right. So I think that all three of those, some of the things y'all said is pretty much what I would say. So got to be able to communicate.
Mhm.
That is a art, a skill, quality that you should have. Obviously fidelity. Being able to be flexible.
Absolutely.
You got to be able to be. You're going to be in this marriage. When you're in this marriage, your thought is you're going to be in this for life.
Mhm.
And over time, things change, roles change, personalities change, your health changes. So you have to have that ability to be flexible, and don't take the person for granted, and be able to adjust.
I think what you just said about flexibility of the health changing thing
Yeah.
is like super key,
Mhm.
because as you get older, your health is going to fade.
Correct.
And it could fade faster than you think it should be.
Right.
Well, in that case, one of you are going to have to take care of the other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you have to understand, like, yo, listen, I still love this person.
Right.
But she's not the person that I married.
Right.
Physically, she's not the person that I married.
And vice versa.
And vice versa, yes.
Right.
So I mean, at the end of the day, I said I do for better or worse through sickness and health. So if she's sick, I got to put my whole life on pause.
Yeah.
Of course I got the baby, but
Sure.
with her, I got to make sure that she's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That she's like, I'm there for her.
Yeah, I agree.
You
Yeah.
know, like, so that flexibility is a great one.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it like
Me
that.
neither.
Yeah.
But
Not
that's
till you said it.
a great way to put it.
And what about the fact that your parents are getting older,
Mhm.
but at some point it may be a decision why they have to come move in
Absolutely.
with one
And you
of
know
the
what?
kids.
Listen, and
Absolutely.
out of all of us, I've experienced that.
Right.
And I want to give a shout out to my wife, because my mother was sick sick, and my wife was like, the first thing she said is like, yo, she needs to come stay with us.
I remember.
And as much as my wife was, my mother would sit there and joke of, Jamie doesn't want me, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, no, Jamie is the one that's actually like making sure that you're here. You know what I'm saying? Even though, listen, I'm not doing anything with I wouldn't do anything with my mother to like kick her out or anything that.
Yeah.
But my wife was the one that put the stamp on the situation of, listen, I want mom here, because that's what she called my mom is mom. I want mom here because I'd rather mom be with us, knowing that we could be able to take care of her and knowing that we know what's going on. Because like when she was in Pittsburgh, if something were to happen, she would be in the hospital. She would not call me. She would tell my uncle, my grandma, everybody not to call me to let me know what's going on. But with her being here, I knew everything that was going on. But like that was my wife's big thing of, listen, I'd rather her be here. We take care of her than anything. Yeah. And when I say, listen, and when I give a super shout out to her again of taking care of her. When my mom was I believe the word is incognate, where she would use the bathroom on herself or whatever, but she had a diaper. My wife was helping change that diaper. Right. And like, yo, she's a superstar. Listen, that's not her mother. Yeah. That's my mother.
Right. Technically, it is her mother.
I mean, it's by marriage. By marriage, it's her mother. But listen, she took that role on, and ran with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So listen, I'll give a shout out for her because listen, she didn't have to do that. Right. But that's something that she took on because she loved my mother. Yeah. And they built such a great relationship between the two of them. And I would always get, people would always ask me like, yo, how's your relationship? How's the relationship between your mother and your wife? They had a great relationship. Yeah. And I didn't realize that a lot of marriages don't have that. Yeah. But I was fortunate to sit there and say, listen, my wife has a great, and I have a good relationship with my in-laws. Yeah. Right. But not everybody gets that. And that's a part of marriage, of actually having a relationship with the in-laws.
And that goes with those values, because me and my wife talk about that, my mom getting older, her parents getting older, some have to want their parents. Then there's some decisions that have to be made. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? Yeah, are they coming down here with us? They staying in Columbia with their brother. And her mom said, no, I'm going to the senior home. You know what I'm saying? But I know that,
her mom said that?
Yeah. The 55 and older active living.
No, because my mom would tell us like, yo, don't put me up in no damn senior home. I'm like, Mom, I'm not putting you in no senior home.
Not a nursing home, but just
the senior living community.
The senior living community where it's you get a nice crib and everything. Everybody's your same age. Yeah. No, she wasn't with that.
Yeah. And so we already know that at some point, one or two or even all three of them will have to move in with us. You know what I'm saying? At some point, and that's not a problem. You know what I'm saying? But we have these conversations to make sure that when that day comes, there's no, we didn't discuss it prior.
Right. But also, I think that's also the new, the way families live nowadays as well, where you have your parents or your in-laws living with you. Yeah. I mean, and to me, I actually, in my mind, I think it's a good idea. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You're taking care of them. It's not like you're paying a facility to take care of them. Right. They're able to be there with the grandkids, the great grandkids, and everything else to actually show, listen, how we take care of our own.
Other races do that though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Other.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like the Asians.
The Asian community probably generations. Asian and probably I want to be politically correct. The Indian community, I mean, from India, really do that.
You can say Asian too.
Yeah. Yes.
Because India is in Asia, so it's cool.
Okay. I mean, no, you would let me know. Listen, I mean, just let me know if I'm wrong or
no, you're good. You're good.
They do that because that's how they're raised to do. And I don't think African Americans, we were raised to do that.
No, at least I wasn't.
And I think the thing about African Americans is that we're so used to wanting to be on our own as soon as we can get out the house. And those other communities, those kids will stay even when they got their jobs making all this money.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they understand, let me save my money and create this wealth before I even step out there. Even if they get married, they still have 2-3 generations.
Well, I mean, I know we're going in a whole different direction, but other side of it is that other ethnicities that are not brown, I'll say that, brown or black,
Okay.
are taught financial values at an early age compared to us.
And to respect their elders and treat their elders like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, just like the financial value portion of it, they're taught at an early age. With us, we're not taught at an early age about any type of finances.
Right.
We're not taught that the fact that we need to have life insurance policies and life insurance policies that are enough to cover the entire mortgage of the house plus extras.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not taught that we need to be able to, if someone dies in our family, that we could sit there and say, hey, we're going to pay off the whole mortgage. We still have money left over to make sure that Cindy and John can go to school. Yeah. We're not taught that. And it's crazy where, I mean, if you look at the Black community, we're probably one of the only communities where if someone dies, we will abandon the house.
Yeah.
The house will just basically go to the county because ain't nobody paying no taxes on the house.
Right.
Unlike others who will sit there and say, hey, we have a will.
Yeah.
We're leaving this house to Devin.
Right.
Devin's going to take everything over. We're not taught that.
Yeah.
On my dad's side, my grandparents' house, they lost the house to taxes because my aunts and them, they couldn't work it out. Because when it comes to money, everybody has their opinion on what should happen. But if you got the will, like you said, now it's spelled out. If there is an inheritance, now it's spelled out. This is what you need to do. This is what's going to happen. Unless the county or the state, the probate judge is going to dictate what happens to everything and put somebody in charge. And if they put somebody outside the family, it's inside the family. You want all that to be already set in stone for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Because
absolutely,
it's enough to already have to deal with the death of a loved one, and now you're dealing with the financial issues that goes along with not having the conversation and setting something that's really can be simple in place. But now you've made it so complicated and convoluted that now you got the court system dictating your future. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what you don't want at the end of the day. You don't want the court system dictating anything. You'd rather handle it out in-house where you have a will. Somebody's already decided exactly what's going on, and you don't have to have people guess. Because the one thing that I know, money will mess up a lot of things.
Absolutely.
Because you'll have one person that sit there and say, "Hey, I believe I deserve this over everybody."
Yeah.
When in the person who dies mind, you might deserve 10%.
Right.
Not everything.
You ain't do nothing to me. All the time I've been living over here with my other child.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I got a friend that's going through that now.
Yeah. So can you imagine if when your parents died, when your mom died,
right,
when my dad died, if they left $250,000? The life changing that would have made to everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll tell you this with my mom is that she thought she had a lot of things
relationship stuff that still need to be
right. It is relationship, but okay. It goes back to I know we went off on a tangent. It goes back to the three things that we believe that are important in the relationship. Thank you, Trav.
I mean, because he never got his third point out.
No,
he did. He did get
the
third point.
The third one was the flexibility.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
But okay. Did you get another question?
No, I didn't.
Or did you get somebody to tell you to bring us back around?
No, I'm bringing y'all back around.
Oh, okay. You gotta ask them type of questions.
Because y'all.
We do, because I mean, I guess there's so many life lessons that we talk about.
Don't get me wrong. I think it's very important for families and a husband and a wife to realize, like, hey, look, we need to have a certain specific type of coverage on both of us to make sure that everything is well taken care of.
You need to have term life.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I was specifically saying like we got to stay focused on the topic. It's important.
No. You're absolutely correct, and I think
this is the thing that we actually
just to kind of end that subject of that. When my brother-in-law died, I think a lot of us recognize and realize the various things that we needed to have in place.
Yeah.
As married people.
Right? Yeah.
Going to his home and being that young.
Yeah, we like it hits a little different
hard.
when you have a person that you see on a regular basis almost every day,
right,
in their 40s, pass from something so sudden.
Yeah.
And to almost big him up that he had so much things in place. Mm-hmm. That I didn't at that time have in place.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How important was that for you and your wife to have going forward? Like, because before you didn't have it, right? I mean, you had it through the job, but
we had it through the job.
Finding out what happened to Kev because it was all of a sudden.
Yes.
How important was that for you and your wife to have?
The discussion was, I think the discussion was big with her as much as it was with y'all. Of us sitting there saying like, yo, like, I know we don't have enough. Well, for us, it was, I know we don't have enough insurance in place, that we need more insurance in place. And then the other side of it is that I know we all talked about is that we need to have that will in place.
Yeah.
And I'll say this is on us, is that we still haven't got it in place, but we know we need it in place. It's super important because if anything were to happen to me like today, Jamie would have to jump through so many hoops.
Now you know that you can actually get your own product through your.
No. I know that.
Yeah,
I know that. I know that.
Like
It's
$2 a month. Yeah,
it's not the fact that I know that I have ways to be able to do it. It's the fact of me sitting down and understanding what I need to put into that wheel.
Yeah. That's always the hardest part.
That's the hardest part, really, of me. What am I going to put in the wheel? Okay, what is the certain percentage that's going to go to my wife? What's the percentage of whatever that's going to go to my daughter? And then, to be honest, of what's the percentage that's going to go to my nephew? Because that's basically my second child. So like, what am I going to put in there to make sure that the three of them are okay at the end of the day?
I bought the prepaid legal through Primerica the other day. So probably next week, me and Chelsea gonna start going through all that stuff.
Yeah,
getting that in place.
And you can do it through them.
Because I knew it's time.
Yeah,
right. And to be honest, like none of us think that we're going to die anytime soon. But the reality of the situation is that we could die any day.
People dropping right like Spartacus.
You don't
know. Listen, Spartacus and Kev.
Yeah.
Listen, literally, Kev. I was hanging with Kev just the day before.
He was hanging with Sparty that night.
Right. So those both. Well, listen, I still remember hanging with Sparty at New Year's Eve when we're kicking it downstairs.
Yeah.
And so it's like you never know when God is going to take you home.
Yeah, it's true.
So therefore, at the end of the day, listen, I would rather be over prepared than under prepared.
Going back real quick to the relationship part of it, when it comes to the will, I think it's hard because when you start talking about it, then it's real. The reality of it, right? So, you're talking to, because I know that's what kind of had Shawnee and I kind of procrastinated on it, because every time we started talking about it, started getting deep. Because now you're like, okay, if both of us was to go, who is going to be the one to take care of Elias if he's still a minor? Right. Who, if I was to go, who is going to handle the affairs outside of Shawnee, because Shawnee is not going to be able to really handle that if something was to happen to me and vice versa. Who's going to be the proxy?
Well, and you know what? The other side, the one thing that we never talk about, where's your body going?
Right. And that's the other thing, right? Where you're going to be buried, if you're going to get cremated, all those things. So when you start talking about those things, it's like, damn, this is real. And then you like, nah, I don't want to talk about that no more because it's a little bit too dark, but you got to kind of push through.
Right.
And that's what, that right there is another thing that solidifies the relationship in the marriage because it hits different when you're talking about death with the person that you're spending your life with, right? Because it's like, damn, listen, I can go and then you got to hold it down or vice versa. Those are conversations you're just not going to have with everybody, obviously. So, you know, when you have that conversation and you start doing things like that, you know, that just strengthens the foundation. At least that's what's supposed to strengthen the foundation.
Yeah. I mean, like me and Nicole had that conversation maybe about 2, maybe 3 years ago when we got our policy. Because we went through the same company to get our policy. I think we talked about it because we knew that, hey, we needed something in place. But I don't think we actually went in depth and actually, like, we still don't have a will till this day, right? But that's important too. We need to get that. But I think we talked about it because we got married and we wanted to make sure that, hey, look, if anything was to happen to you or to me, like you said, somebody got to take care of the kids,
absolutely,
and the house and everything else. So I think that's more so why we had the conversation. I don't think we went all the way in depth to like where you're gonna get buried,
and that's why I say that. You know, we've never had that conversation in majority Black households. I kind of want to say that
that's what I
in majority
too.
Black households that we never really had that conversation. But you need to make sure that you have a policy that's enough, that's going to pay the cost of the house, and that you're going to be able to make sure that you're able to hold the house down when this person. But you got to understand something, that you're losing the whole entire income. Okay, I mean, not just the fact that you're losing your partner or whatever. You're losing an entire income that you use to base your whole lifestyle off of.
For people out there, there's a simple equation. It's called the DIME: your debt, income, mortgage, and expenses. And it's going to be a high number for the average household.
Yeah.
But then you got to get to balance what you can afford of that number. You know what I'm saying? So to leave $20,000 versus leaving $250,000 or even $500,000, that's going to make a big difference in the surviving person. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And if you look at it, you got to think, and it's not to say, not to come off negative or anything like that, but white people have been doing this for years. Yeah. Okay, that's how. I mean, listen, that's how a lot of white America have gotten rich over the years. They've been doing this, and us having the lack of knowledge have kept us behind from not being on the same level as them.
Yeah.
When you sit there and you talk about one of the father's white dies and he done left his family $500,000 and he's able to put 4 of his grandkids or 4 of his kids through school to get educations where they ain't got to pay for nothing. Understand that's real wealth. Yeah. They ain't paid for anything. They have no student loans.
So do you think that's something you should talk about when you're engaged or after you get married?
I say after you get married, because to be honest, I don't know if the conversation is going to be as meaningful.
Well, I think the conversation should happen before you get married, but I think you probably won't actually put it in place until after you
get married. Right. That's what I said. The conversation is not going to be as meaningful, because we can sit there and talk about a whole bunch of things before we get married. Because at the end of the day,
but now,
if we ain't married, it don't mean a thing. Because we can all turn away from before we get married.
But that also depends on what you have established before you get married. If you guys bought a house together, if you guys have kids together,
right? It's different.
That's different.
You guys
that's different.
Obligation that you both, you know,
what I'm saying, need to. Absolutely correct.
Yeah. Now, if you just single and you ain't got no kids and they ain't got no kids, then it could wait. You know what I'm saying? And then you ain't got no.
Can it wait really? Because just like you say, you don't know when you're gonna go.
No, yeah, you don't.
So
I mean, literally,
can that really wait?
You could be married 6 months in and somebody passed away.
Then the day you get married, now it probably needs to happen, because I assume that most people before they get married, they're already probably living together now, and
right nowadays
expenses are combined.
I'm gonna say nowadays, yeah.
Honestly, my opinion, I kind of disagree. I think you should have that in place before you get married.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Everything, like even the policy in place.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now everybody got things intertwined, because people are combining expenses now before they get married. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you need once you start combining your expenses and you guys living together and that type of stuff, then you got to depend on each other. You know what I'm saying? Once you become dependent on the other person, then that's when it needs to happen. Because if something happens to the other person, now it affects you financially. You know what I'm saying? Not only emotionally, you financially affected.
Right.
That you need to have some type of income protection. You know what I'm saying?
And that goes back to communication, like we said. Like that's
it does go full circle.
communication
You're right.
is like without that, I don't think you get as far as you would want to get in a marriage. I mean, if you do get that far,
I mean, listen, that's why it's one of the key components of a marriage is communication.
if you get that far, it's probably because like, okay, you come home, you go downstairs, you stay downstairs.
I mean, to be honest,
go.
if you get through a marriage without some type of good communication, y'all was just going through the motions,
Right?
Yeah. I was gonna say, what's the blueprint? You
like,
need to be writing a book or something. Because how'd you do that?
How do you do that?
Yeah.
No communication.
Yeah.
But we make it 30 years. Hey man, listen, yo, you need to write a book on how y'all made it 30 years with no communication.
But if you make it 30 years without no communication, soon it's going to come to an end because you 50. I mean, if you get married early, you're 50-some years old. And now, even if you're 60, you still got so much life ahead of you that, you know, everybody want to be happy. You know what I'm saying? At some point, you're going to be like, that ain't working for me. I mean, I need to be happy.
Yeah.
Either you change or I'm out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but if you don't have poor communication, ain't no change is gonna be made.
That's what I'm saying. So
you might as well just cancel.
We're not
damn
talking.
reset button because we ain't really talking.
How we changed it?
I'm just packing them out.
Oh, yeah, I'm out. You ain't talking.
I mean,
Let me look at my clothes real quick.
You got 60-year-old folks, 70-year-old folks who getting divorced now, starting over. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
Because
Yo, listen,
they want a new
I'm
family.
gonna tell you, like, yo, if I'm 70 years old starting over, like, yo, dog, I don't even know what to say. Like, for real, I don't even know if I was 44. I'm 43 now to start over. Like, yo, no.
I mean, you know, what do you say to? I mean, you got Blair Underwood and his wife were just divorced, and they was in the game for 27 years, 3 kids, grown kids.
Yo, listen, I don't even know.
But
you know?
everybody I know who say, yo, when I get divorced, I'm never getting married again. They got married not long after they got divorced. You know what I'm saying? Because marriage becomes a way of life for you. You know what I'm saying? People like
but like
the structure.
Oh
you
man,
gotta come
I
home,
don't.
you gotta do this, you gotta do that.
Yeah, I don't know. At 44 years old, I'm gonna be like, yo.
You say
No,
well,
like
hopefully
I'm good.
You know,
I say, hold on,
good.
don't even plant that
We ain't gonna
seed.
plant that seed, but I'm just saying, like, I'm good. Like, no, I'm cool.
Yeah,
I'd rather be on some we just living together type ish than me be like, I'm totally going to get whole remarried again.
Yeah. Well,
Nah, look, hey, listen.
He agree with you, Marcus. I guess he wanted.
Hey, yo, TJ, my man.
Let's get one more input from Dev on one of the questions.
all right, go ahead, shoot.
This one was
this 19 years. His
yeah,
thing came from
he got 19 years in, so we need his perspective on this.
Absolutely.
So Dev, if you feel your spouse is strong in a certain area, do you feel you should sit back and let them handle that area, or should you make an effort to try to help?
Oh no, I'm taking the back seat and letting her drive.
That's my man.
Okay.
Because that's the same.
Yeah,
that's the same. I'm like,
why?
Yeah, I'm just
Because if it's why try to fix something that's not broke? If she is the stronger person in that area, I'm gonna let her operate in that area. There's no need for me to try to meddle into that because I'm not trying to mess it up, especially if it's working.
right.
There's no need for me to touch that.
So that's what I said, Devin. I totally agree with you because I said, like, obviously she has a passion for it.
Yeah.
And I don't have a passion for it.
Yeah.
So at 40-something years old, I don't see me gaining a passion for something I did not have a passion for. So therefore, just let her do what she's good at. And it's the same thing for me. If I'm good at it, I'm not looking at my wife to be like, all of a sudden today, you know, like 13 years married, all of a sudden you're going to have a passion for it to be like, yo, let me handle this.
Yeah. Now, you know, there's a difference between, let's say if it's not working and it's not being successful, and after communication and conversations, obviously discussing, it needs to be a reversal in roles, and that's one thing. And over time things may change as well, right?
Right.
One thing that she may be strong in or I may be strong in, things may change,
Right.
over time. But yeah, it's not productive for me to touch something that she would operate strongly in and mess it up. Like,
Right.
there's no need for that. All that does is cause confusion and stress that's unnecessary when you can just let it just be what it is, especially if that person is strong and operating in what they're supposed to be operating in.
Gotcha.
Because you can actually be focusing on something else.
Yeah.
Because that's one less thing you got to focus on. You can
Yeah.
put something else on your plate. You know what I'm saying? But if both of you got everything on both of your plates are always going to be so full. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know if I would call it delegating. I would just say, and you just taking a step back and
You good at that.
understanding roles.
Right.
Yes, understanding roles. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's how I would call that.
I agree.
No, I guess I came at the right time, huh?
Absolutely.
Man, you slid in real nice, huh, boy?
Yeah, bro. It was right there.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, man. So is that it? You wrapping it up?
We want some final insight from you, Dev, because you like the grandpa in the group when it comes to.
I know, man.
Like,
we got more
He's
questions.
so crazy.
He's the babyface assassin, but he's the grandpa.
He missed all the questions. We got more questions for you. So this is the one. Okay. Now that you recognize that you have things that you would like to work on,
Yes.
how are you planning to work on them and implement the changes in your marriage?
One thing at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. There's no way. All the things I got going on with myself,
Right.
there's no way I can. There's no way I can try to implement all of
No,
them.
not all of them, but like, how do you work from one to the next one to the next one to the next one? Like, it's just say for two things, maybe.
Right,
You gotta
well,
work on. Like, how do you work on that and implement the changes?
It's situational. One of them in particular is I'm not the most organized person, right? So,
Really?
oh no, by no means.
I would have never thought that of you.
No,
neither.
no,
No, I mean, like, listen, outside looking in, I would have never thought that.
I'm not the most organized person. So, and I have a tendency of losing stuff.
Really?
So, yeah. So, when it comes to certain things, I try to keep it real simple. Like for my keys, for example, like there is a specific area where I need to make sure that my stuff is, and if it's not there, I'm gonna go crazy, right? Because now I'm frantically looking all over the place for it.
Right.
Now,
Are you cussing while you looking at you just?
in my mind. So I have to force myself to do that because naturally it's just something that I just don't do. So when it comes to that, I'm trying to make sure that, okay, because I'm naturally not doing that, I'm forcing myself to make sure I put my keys in my wallet and my mask. Everything is a routine now. Like I have to do a routine. Right. So that's one thing. So routines is very important to me.
Okay.
Secondly, when it comes to communication, I'm not really big on confrontation at all.
I can see that from you.
Yeah, that's not my thing.
Gotcha.
However, there are times when, because I don't say anything, it's a detriment to me specifically when it comes to like stuff and like things that Shawnee and I may want to do, or things that she may want to do, and I may not necessarily want to do them, but I don't say anything. So, it's one of those things where now that I recognize what my triggers may be and why I shut down a certain way, I kind of work on those to make sure that if there is a area where a conversation needs to happen, I force myself to kind of say, okay, look, this is how I feel and this is how I communicate it. Because a lot of times there are instances where I don't do that and I shut down and I don't say anything, and then it piles up like
you know
garbage.
what? I'm a lot
Right?
like that.
Yes. It piles up.
To the point where
Like garbage.
it's almost like hurting you inside that it piles up so much.
But then there's a blow up, right?
Right.
And then when the blow up occurs, it's like, yo, I didn't even know you was having all of these concerns and issues. And the question is, why don't you? Why am I just hearing about
Right.
all of this?
Because to them, it's almost like a thing that just popped up yesterday.
Correct.
But in your head, it's been gone and building for months.
But I'm not saying anything because
But I'm not saying anything.
I don't want to, because I don't want to be confrontational.
Me and you are a lot alike in that situation.
And this just happened the other day. Actually, there was an instance where I told her particularly like something hurt my feelings. And you know, you got to understand, as men, when you say something hurts your feelings, you are opening yourself up to be vulnerable at that point.
Okay.
And that's something that we don't necessarily are prone to do as men, especially in front of our spouses. Mm-hmm. So I had to force myself to say that, because had I not said that, I would have kept it inside still.
Right.
And it would have festered. And it's something as little as it rained when I was supposed to go running occurred, and now I'm ready to scorch the earth. You know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? So yeah,
she's the first person you see, so that's
so now was a blow up.
Right. Your boy Terrence JCL, on what you did to them. I'm not as big on communication as I should be.
Yeah. So those are two things that I incrementally work on and try to be better. Of course, there are moments when, because I'm so used to doing something for my, 40 plus years, it just naturally goes back to that. But I try to make an effort.
Yeah, we had that conversation too. Like, it's more so like us being consistent with
the
change that you have. To be more consistent, it's going to help us make sure that we're doing it on a regular basis and we don't slide back to what we. So I
think the easiest thing is to slide back, is that you get so comfortable in the relationship that, like, you might want a change to happen from Shawnee, and she works on it for so long that you get so comfortable in life that, listen, you're taking Elias to basketball, she's doing whatever. And it's just like, you don't think about the exact thing that you wanted her to change.
Yeah.
And it winds up going month to month where you're like, oh, we kind of even forgot about the fact that this was the change that I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very important to, and this is an art that, a lot of people people may not have, but it's very important to be self-aware. When you have self-awareness, and really just are honest with yourself, that's when the real change can occur, right?
Correct.
I've been, disorganized. I've been trying to figure things out on my own for years, right? Never really was big into systems, right? But I realize as I get older, systems is what makes me operate effectively.
Right.
I need systems, right? I didn't need to have that. And, and I don't need it. Some people work better in systems altogether. I'm not there yet. I like to free think and free flow still, but for certain things, a system is necessary for me.
Yeah.
But I recognize that now because, therapy and just basically wanting to be better.
I'm glad you brought up self-awareness, because honestly speaking, like, I was just being stubborn, bro. Like, I had to really realize, like, yeah, you know what? You really don't communicate with your wife. And how hard is it for you to just sit and listen and try to be more communicate with her and just listen to what she's saying and not just
hear her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I really had to realize that, because we had a conversation one night, and I think we were up until like 2:00 in the morning just having this conversation, and she was literally like damn near pleading with me, like, yo, you really need to hear me.
Right.
I've said this several times before, and it's still the same thing. Like, nigga, you really need to hear me, or something's gonna happen.
Right. Yeah. Because, like,
but you know what? I would sit there and say that I've seen so much growth in you when it comes to that. Because I remember us having the conversations somewhere, and you were sitting there saying that my wife ain't going nowhere, man. We're good. And I'm like, no, man. Like, you need to really listen to what she's saying. And now to hear it almost come back of sitting there saying, yo, you're right. I really did need to listen. hear, communicate, and actually kind of, like really work things out of listening to what you were saying, trying to work on it, and then going from there.
But the reason, so it's two things to that, right? You're absolutely correct. But the reason why I was saying my wife wasn't going anywhere because I felt that we had a good bond, because I would say like my wife didn't have to worry about for anything. Like anything she wanted or needed.
No, I get that.
Let me finish. Okay. Anything I wanted, anything she wanted or needed, I'm providing it. I go to work, I work overtime, double time, whatever. But that's the mindset that I was thinking, right? Because that's what I saw. That's what I knew. That's what I grew up on.
Yep.
Make sure the house is taken care of. Everything is good.
Yeah.
But you don't ever take the woman into consideration when you're doing that. And that's what I had to self-aware. Like, listen, even though she has all these things, she really need this.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say, is that I noticed that you went past that.
Yeah.
And you recognized a lot more that you needed to when it comes to that.
So
yeah,
I mean,
but yes,
everybody it's just like you said, self-awareness. Like, you have to realize where your shortcomings are.
Yeah,
and fix those.
It's about locating yourself.
And sometimes that's hard because you be like, man, you have all this. What could be the complaint?
Right. Yeah.
No. I mean, just to be honest, I mean, like you just think about it. Like
in your mind, sometimes it's like,
it's just like back in the day, like your great grandfather,
everything
whatever.
was good. What are you complaining about?
Like, he paying for everything. Like, what you complaining about? Like, but we ain't spending no time together.
Right.
We ain't doing this. We ain't doing that. But you think only thing I'm worried about is that what? Like the bills is being paid. Sure, I can go out and get a job to pay the bills.
Nigga, you only communicate when we got to talk about something,
right?
Like that.
Or even back then, it's like, you only communicate when you were trying to have a little bit of sex to have one of these kids. Like now we got 10 kids and what? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's important in the marriage. So you really gotta find yourself and actually put them in your shoes.
Yeah,
That's
it's important.
a big thing right there. Put them in your shoes.
Put them in your shoes and go from there.
Now, if each of you guys can say one key thing that you want everybody to take away from what you brought to the table these last two sessions, what would it be?
That we brought to the table, or that we kind of learned?
Yeah,
that
individually.
you would want, you'd be like, hey,
for those who's watching,
if you don't take anything else away from this, what would you want?
The biggest thing I would say is communication. To actually learn with each other, how we communicate with each other. And that goes to like the love languages and everything else. Like, how do you communicate with the person that you're with? Because if you don't have the ability to communicate, I mean, like, why are you with each other? Because I mean, like, you could be missing out on so many different aspects of your relationship because you don't have good communication with each other.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Mark. And I'm gonna add this. I think, regardless if you think you need it or not, even if it's individually, you guys need to go to counseling. It's a lot going on in your brain that you really don't realize until you actually sit down and talk to someone that's not going to be one-sided and listen to, and they're going to tell you when you're wrong, when that person is wrong, what's right. Counseling, I think everybody should do it, and not just one day. Like,
no, one day,
like at
enough.
least 6 months of counseling, because there's a lot that can come up within that time.
But I said one day ain't gonna do you.
Yeah, one day ain't gonna do you. You think it's gonna do you, but nah.
No.
Counseling is important.
All they're doing the session, you asking you all these questions. Like, hey, what you feel about this? Everything about what you feel.
Right. And if they lean towards one person, it's like, they lean to me. We done.
Yeah. So I think that's what I think I want everybody to take away from this session right here.
So what I would say is, the one word that comes to mind is accountability. And first of all, being accountable. If you're a spiritual person, making sure that that's in place, and you are held accountable as far as spiritually, but also having people, that's like-minded, and let them be be accountability partners. You know, I got 3 brothers here who I know that if I had an issue in my marriage, that I can probably talk to them and just get their advice and perspective, and they'll let me know if I'm bugging, if I'm jumping out the window, or if it's like, you know, you got a point. However, you need to communicate that. So it's important just to have some type of accountability for yourself and have some type of partners to kind of keep you in line, because at the end of the day, iron sharpens iron. So that's what I would leave with these 2 sessions.
Absolutely, about accountability.
True story. And what I would just say is that if you got somebody that you love and you do want to spend the rest of your life with, you know, fight for it. You know what I'm saying? Don't give up on it, because divorce rate is sky high in America. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, like,
divorce lawyers' business is booming.
Yeah, it's booming, especially after the pandemic. You know what I'm saying?
Business booming.
Yeah.
So just fight for it and you know, go to counseling. You know, at least give it a shot. You know, you have nothing. You already with them. It's easier to stay where you are, and probably much cheaper than trying to just throw it all away. And it could be fixed a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? But you got to be open-minded and allow, you know, yourself to be a little bit vulnerable at times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So close out, brother.
I'm gonna let you close out, Dev. You're running late.
Close out,
You
man.
fresh. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. You know, everybody all look it up, got their good stogies. I missed out, but you know, family duties. You know, things happen. But
Absolutely.
So listen, man. Again, for all those who are watching, you know, our real ones, we always appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for the feedback. I see a lot of comments, so we appreciate that. For Mark, Trav, DP, I'm Dev. And all that you do it with positivity, creativity, and authenticity. This is Real Talk with DP and Dev. Peace, beautiful people.